What's going on, everyone? JJ Zachariason here. Hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving and stuffed your faces as I did. But it's Sunday now. We had some football on Thursday. That means that there's probably going to be fewer start-sit questions today because more games happened earlier this week, but we still have a ton of them. I will get through them as quickly as possible. Some of the things that I think are still sort of outstanding. So everything, you have to take everything that I say to right now with a grain of salt. But Elijah Mitchell, we don't know officially if he's going to play or not. It sounds like he's trending towards playing. Aaron Jones seems like more 50-50, where there's some reports saying that, he's not going to play. There's some reports saying that he's going to try. My general take on Aaron Jones, because this is going to, this is going to be applicable to a lot of the questions that have been asked. I already saw some questions regarding A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones. With Aaron Jones, I'm sort of seeing this as, A.J. Dillon obviously has a pretty big ceiling if Aaron Jones doesn't go. But I'm also seeing this as if Aaron Jones does go, I'm not expecting a normal workload. I would sort of expect A.J. Dillon to play the Aaron Jones role, if that makes sense, if Aaron Jones does play. And then if he doesn't play, A.J. Dillon, the last time we saw them, the Packers, he had a very good backfield share numbers. He just didn't have a very monster game because they did so much through the air against Minnesota. So, right now I'm viewing A.J. Dillon as probably going to be the starter. And I would lean towards Aaron Jones being inactive because they have a bye next week. I think it's logical to think that, but anything can happen. So I'll go through these start-sit questions and sort of talk through my logic with that being a late afternoon game. We're going to start with Brian Porter. Full PPR, need a running back. Do I start Miles Sanders, a 1 p.m. game, or wait until the 4 p.m. window for the Aaron Jones decision, with Javonte Williams as the backup if Jones is inactive? This is a really great question. I think that Aaron Jones, given these other options with Javonte Williams and Miles Sanders, I think that even if Aaron Jones were to play, I would prefer Miles Sanders in particular over Aaron Jones, with Jordan Howard being inactive. So I'm just going to go with Miles Sanders here straight up. If we knew that Aaron Jones was playing, obviously the fact that he's a game time decision makes me think that he's not going to see a normal workload. And so because of that, I'm just going to go with Miles Sanders. Full PPR, looking for a flex. Do I start Claypool, Mike Williams, Gaskin, or Freiermuth? I think this is between Gaskin and probably Claypool. I'm going to go with Gaskin, though, just because of the guaranteed volume in the backfield. I know that they got Phillip Lindsay, but I don't know how much work he's going to see. I don't even know if he's active, to be honest. I didn't check, but I'm going to go with Myles Gaskin there. Non-PPR flex from Jeff Wilson, Miles Sanders, Cordero Patterson. I'm probably going to go with Miles Sanders here. That might not be a popular opinion because I think with Cordero Patterson active, a lot of people are probably thinking go with Cordero Patterson. I'm just a little bit worried about his workload and what that's going to look like. Whereas Miles Sanders with no Jordan Howard, I feel pretty good about. Jeff Wilson, I don't think you can start given the fact that these other guys are playing at 1 p.m. And it sounds like Elijah Mitchell's probably going to play. I'm actually going to go through these start sits with the idea that Mitchell is going to play. So I'm not playing Jeff Wilson this week if Mitchell is active. So I'm going to go with Miles Sanders there. Russell Wilson or Aaron Rodgers. Let's lean Aaron Rodgers there just because Russ hasn't given us any indication that he's going to score some fantasy points, even though he's a great matchup. Pick 1.5 PPR flex from Ramondre Stevenson, Rashad Bateman, or Eli Mitchell. So this is another situation where, you fortunately have 3 tiers of start times where Stevenson plays early, Bateman's the late game, the Sunday night game, and then Elijah Mitchell's in the middle. So what I would do is if Elijah Mitchell is active, I would play Elijah You If he's inactive, you have a backup plan with Rashad Bateman. Make sure that Elijah Mitchell's in your flex spot and not in your RB1 or RB2 spot. Next question. Start 2 in non-PPR, Elijah Mitchell, Javonte Williams, or Devontae Smith. Again, I would just probably wait until actually, you can't wait. You said start 2. I'd go Devontae Smith then for sure. If Elijah Mitchell goes, I would play Mitchell over Javonte. If he doesn't go, Javonte. Half PPR, play Ramondre at 1 p.m. or hedge that Aaron Jones sits and roll with A.J. Dillon at 425. Yeah, look, I mean, like even if Aaron Jones plays, I don't think Ramondre Stevenson is that much better of a play, if at all, than A.J. Dillon. Like in a normal Aaron Jones is 100% healthy sort of situation. I mean, they're both part-time players in their backfield. I should say they're both split. They're in a split backfield. So I would still go with A.J. Dillon regardless of the Aaron Jones situation. I'm going A.J. Dillon over Ramondre Stevenson. Van Jefferson or Rashad Bateman in half PPR. I'm going to lean Bateman, but I clearly don't say that very confidently. I love Van Jefferson's peripherals a lot, but I'm going to go with Bateman. Ayuk or Bateman, I'm going to go with Ayuk. And then Tennessee, Miami, the Chargers or Jacksonville defense. Let's go with the Chargers there. Full PPR, Jacoby Myers or Ty Johnson. In full PPR, I'm going Jacoby Myers. PPR flex, Patterson, DJ Moore, Lockett, Antonio Gibson, Jerry Jeudy need floor. I mean, if you need a floor, then I'd probably say Jeudy is your play, but I might just go with Lockett. I think Lockett's the best play of that group. Let's go with Lockett. Would you play Jeff Wilson even if Mitchell is active? I would not. Other options are Sony Michel and AJ Dillon. I would absolutely play AJ Dillon over Jeff Wilson. Cam Newton or Joe Burrow this week. I'm not as high on Cam as others are, but I'm going to go with Cam there. Cordero Patterson or Miles Sanders in full PPR. I'm going Miles Sanders. I think it's pretty close in full PPR. The one earlier was a standard league. It was a lot easier to go with Miles Sanders there. Sit 1.5 PPR. Tyler Boyd, Van Jefferson, Rashad Bateman. Tyler Boyd is a very, very good slot matchup against Pittsburgh. I'd probably still sit him, but it's tough. I really like Van Jefferson and Bateman. I'd probably sit Boyd, even though I love his slot matchup. He usually does pretty well against the Steelers. Looking for ceiling, 1.5 times defensive scoring plus yardage bonuses. Dolphins, Steelers, or Jags defense. I think you got to go with the Steelers if you're looking for ceiling, just because we know the Steelers defense can generate a lot of pressure. Happy BR pick 2, Dylan, Bateman, Aaron Jones. I will go with Dylan. And honestly, I mean, I'm going with Dylan over Aaron Jones. And then I would probably just play Bateman over Jones then too, to not have the entire Packers backfield. PPR wide receiver pick 2, Lockett, Elijah Moore, Devontae Smith. I will go with Lockett and Smith. I just, new quarterback under center for the Jets. Well, not new, but he hasn't played in a while. Don't love that situation that much as a result of that. Elijah Moore's a beast. I think that he's a buy. I talked about him on my podcast this week. I love Elijah Moore. Great talent, but I'm going to go with Devontae Smith and Tyler Lockett. I think they're both in decent enough spots, and they're both very good as well. Need 3 of these wide receivers in half PPR. Pittman, Elijah Moore, T. Higgins, Hollywood Brown, or Claypool. I have some trepidation about Hollywood's injury. I'd still play Hollywood, I think, and then you're definitely playing Pittman. I love Pittman this week. Then I'd probably play Claypool as the last one, but I think you can make the argument for more. Start Miles Sanders in the early game or AJ Dillon in the afternoon game. I already talked about that one. Ramondre or DJ Dallas in half PPR. I'm going Ramondre still. I just don't trust the Seattle backfield. Gesicki, Goddard, or Deontay Foreman in PPR. Let's go with Goddard there. Gronk or Dan Arnold. You know what? With the Gesicki one, I'm very close to saying Gesicki because Carolina's been beatable with tight ends. But I'm gonna stick with Goddard. His target shares have just been absolutely insane. Gronk or Dan Arnold in half PPR. I'm going Gronk. Full PPR, Devontae to stack with Hurts or Jeudy at wide receiver. If Aaron Jones plays, pick one pivot. Elijah Mitchell, Jeudy, Javonte, or stick with AJ Dillon. Okay, so there's a lot to unpack here. I will go with Devontae over Jeudy. I think it's close though. I think if you need more of a floor, Judy's fine, so I don't really have a strong opinion there. If Aaron Jones plays, I would probably, and assuming Elijah Mitchell's playing, I'd probably go with Eli Mitchell, assuming that Aaron Jones is playing. If he's not playing, I'm going to go with AJ Dillon. Need 3 out of these 4 in half PPR. Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Jalen Waddle, or Jerry Jeudy. My goodness, you're definitely playing Keenan Allen. I mean, I think because you're playing Keenan Allen, you can just go with Waddle and Jeudy if you want to over Mike Williams. I'd probably go that direction. Cam Newton or Russell Wilson. This one I might risk and go Russ, but I think it's close. I think they're like in the same tier this week. Cordell Patterson, Ramondre Stevenson, or Ty Johnson. Let's go with Cordell Patterson. PPR need a wide receiver and 2 flex. Elijah Moore, Cortland Sutton, Miles Sanders, Antonio Gibson, Devontae Freeman, Javonte Williams. Okay, so you need 2 flex and a wide receiver. The wide receiver I would say is Elijah Moore, so we're going with him. And then I'd go with Miles Sanders and Antonio Gibson as my 2 flex spots. Half PPR, Stevenson, Foreman, or Westbrook Akine in the flex. Let's go with Foreman. It sounds like Foreman's probably going to see a lot of work on the ground. I don't love the matchup. I think between him and Hilliard and PPR and a half PPR even, I actually prefer Hilliard this week because he's going to see that Jeremy McNichols role. He's going to see a lot of volume through the air, and they're obviously the pass catchers there are banged up. But I'm going to go with Foreman there. Standard flex from Ty Johnson, Jeff Wilson, Miles Sanders, Cordero Patterson. Let's go with Miles Sanders. I apparently like Miles Sanders a good bit today. Cam over Cousins or Jimmy G. Yeah, I think that's okay. Yeah, I think that's fine. Maybe Cousins. I think that's fine. Eagles or the Texans defense today. Let's go with the Eagles defense. Pick 2 from Patterson, Lockett, and Elijah Mitchell in full PPR. I am going to go with probably Patterson and Lockett because we don't know if Elijah Mitchell is going to play. It's full PPR. I'd play Lockett over Elijah Mitchell to begin with. Jimmy G or Taylor Heineke. I love Jimmy G this week. I'm going to go with Jimmy G. Half PPR, pick 1 running back and 1 wide receiver and 1 flex. By the way, I'm going to go back to the Cousins over Cam. I'm going to say Cousins over Cam. Instead of playing Cam, I'm going to go Cousins. Half PPR, pick 1 running back, 1 wide receiver, and 1 flex. Brandon Ayuk, Chase Claypool, T. Higgins, Javonte Williams, Miles Sanders, AJ Dillon. It's very tough when there are so many players that you guys are asking. So 1 running back. Let's go with Miles Sanders as the running back. 1 wide receiver. Let's go with Chase Claypool as the wide receiver. I'm saying that I'm a little bit worried about Brandon Ayuk because if Elijah Mitchell plays, we might not see Deebo Samuel in the backfield as much, which means Deebo Samuel is going to play more of a traditional wide receiver role, and that could limit Brandon Ayuk to some degree. So I'm going to go with Claypool. Let's go with the ceiling a little bit more there. And then for the flex, let's say if Aaron Jones, let's go with AJ Dillon regardless in the flex. Yeah, that makes sense. Cordell Patterson or Melvin Gordon, half PPR. And yes, I have MDP in 3 leagues somehow. I am going to go with Cordell Patterson. Wide receiver and flex, Waddle, Cordero, Gibson, Mitchell, or Sanders. Let's go with, can you play Cordero at wide receiver? Because I might do that and then play Sanders, but let's go with Waddle instead if you need to actually play. I'm assuming that's the case because you wouldn't ask me wide receiver and flex if Cordero Patterson couldn't play in the wide receiver. So let's go Patterson and Sanders there. Half PPR, sit 1, Burkhead, Foreman, or Stevenson. Let's sit Burkhead. Half PPR, that's not a question. PPR flex, Freiermuth, Ty Johnson, Damian Harris, Chenault. Thanks, JJ. I would probably go with, in a full PPR league, I might go with Freiermuth the way that they're utilizing him. I'd go with him over Chenault. Defensive stash next week. Colts at the Texans or Eagles at the Jets. Let's go with the Colts. James Robinson or Darrell Henderson in half PPR. Let's go with Henderson. I say that I think is pretty close. By the way, right now is the time of year. If Sony Michel is on your waiver wire, even if like Ronald Jones is on your waiver wire, those are the kinds of guys that you just want to throw on your bench to see if their starter gets hurt. So right now I have Sony Michel on so many teams because if Darrell Henderson goes down, then all of a sudden you have a potential RB1 in Sony Michel. Start 1 in non-PPR, Stevenson, Elijah Mitchell, or Terry McLaurin. I'm also starting Deebo, but need a floor. If you need a floor, I think that Elijah Mitchell's probably fine in a non-PPR format. I'd probably lean his way. I think McLaurin is pretty close, though. So if you want to go with McLaurin, that's fine. I don't think Stevenson is really part of this discussion. Half PPR, start 2, at least 1 running back. Claypool, Devontae Smith, Elijah Mitchell, or Javonte Williams. Let's go Elijah Mitchell if he plays. If he doesn't, go Javonte, obviously. And then I'm going to go Devontae Smith over Chase Claypool. Devontae Smith, Marquise Brown, or Elijah Mitchell. It sounds like Brown's going to play. I'm going to go Brown there. Full PPR, if Aaron Jones is active, would you start Kareem Hunt over A.J. Dillon? I'd probably go with A.J. Dillon. I mean, similar situation, except A.J. Dillon is not coming off that injury. Should we have full confidence in Scordero this week? Full? No. Some? Sure. If Aaron Jones plays, do you prefer him or A.J. Dillon? I already talked about that. I'm going A.J. Dillon. JJ Love the pod, full PPR, 12 team. I need 1 tight end, 1 flex. Nick Chubb, Javonte Williams. You're playing Nick Chubb. That's your flex. And then you need a tight end out of this group. You're going to play Pat Freiermuth because he's the only tight end that's. Oh no, Goddard's listed there. I'm going to go Freiermuth over Goddard this week. Just without Eric Ebron, I think Freiermuth is an incredible fantasy play from here on out. Can understand if you want to go Goddard. I think it's pretty close because he's seeing such a great target share. But I trust that the Steelers are going to throw the ball a little bit more than Philadelphia today. So you're going Chubb for sure. And then I'd probably go Freiermuth. Half PPR need upside. Alex Collins, Tevin Coleman, or drop one of them for Rex Burkhead. Let's go with Alex Collins there. I mean, I don't say, you say need upside, and I'm saying Alex Collins because there's a chance that, Seattle's offense is, I trust Seattle's offense more than the other offenses listed here. And he could find the end zone a couple of times. So let's go with Alex Collins. If Aaron Jones plays Dillon, Collins, or Devontae Freeman, let's still go with Dillon. Can I trust Russ, or should I start Tua, Matt Ryan, or Mac? Let's go with Russ. Full PPR, 1 flex, Eli Mitchell, Mike Williams, or Pat Freiermuth. Let's go with Mike Williams there. Or let's go with Eli Mitchell there, and then you can play Mike Williams if Eli doesn't go. Ayuk or Brandon Cooks. I kind of want to go Brandon Cooks there for the reasons I talked about earlier. I do think Elijah Mitchell is going to play. And that could really force Deebo Samuel to play the more traditional wide receiver role, lower Ayuk's target share a little bit. Let's go Brandon Cooks. I think he's a pretty good play this week. Full PPR, Javonte or Elijah Mitchell. Let's go Eli, and then if he doesn't go to Javonte. Ayuk or Elijah Moore. I'm going Ayuk with the quarterback situation. McKissick or Freeman in half PPR. Thanks, love the pod. I'd probably go Freeman. AJ Dillon or David Johnson. I'm going AJ Dillon. Dallas Goedert or Mike Gesicki. I think I answered this one earlier. I'm going Goddard, but it's very, very close. Pick 1.5 PPR, MVS, Alex Collins, Gronkowski, or Russell Gage. I kind of want to go with Gronk. I think it's between Gronk and MVS, but I'm going to go with Gronk because of the touchdown potential. Let me get a sip of tea real quick. What's up, JJ? Eli Mitchell or Javonte Williams? Just answered that one. I said Eli. Van Jefferson or Devontae Smith in full PPR. I'm going Devontae Smith. If active, is Aaron Jones worth it over Devontae Smith, or Shenault? I would not play him over those guys. I think that you can make the argument for Shenault, but you're not going to have that information. So, it's kind of moot. The only player where you're going to not have that information, or that you're going to have the Aaron Jones information for of this group, is Javonte. But I would still play Javonte over Aaron Jones because I don't think that Aaron Jones is going to see this massive workload. I would be surprised if he does. Pick 2, Ty Johnson, Ramondre, Marvin Jones. I think this depends if it's a PPR league or not. If it's a PPR format, I'd go with Ty Johnson and Marvin Jones. Next one, Jimmy G or Tyrod Taylor. I'm going to go with Jimmy G over Tyrod this week. Russell Wilson, Kirk Cousins, or Joe Burrow. Let's go with Kirk. Rodgers or Cousins. I think you can go with Kirk. I like the game environment a little bit more. He doesn't have that injury with his toe. Let's go with Cousins. Hi, JJ. If Aaron Jones plays, which 2 would you start between Dillon, Mitchell, Van Jefferson, McKissick? I'm going with the first 2. Dillon, Marvin Jones, or Ramondre. I'm going with the first 2. Bateman or Mike Williams in PPR. Thanks. I am going with Mike Williams. Wentz or Tyrod. Tyrod. I keep saying that. I'm going to go with Wentz. JJ, you're the man. Thanks, Brian. Can we trust Jeff Wilson today? Probably not. I would go JD McKissick if Elijah Mitchell plays. Flex, obviously, if Elijah Mitchell doesn't play, then go with Jeff Wilson. Flex, MVS, Jacoby Myers, or Jeff Wilson. If it's a PPR format, probably Jacoby Myers. If not, if you want a little bit more upside, you can go with MVS. But you can only play Jeff Wilson if Elijah Mitchell, is officially out. I don't think that's going to happen. Elijah Mitchell or Darrell Henderson in PPR. Let's go with Darrell Henderson. Full PPR pick 2, OBJ, Rashad Bateman, Marvin Jones, Brandon Ayuk. I'm going to go Bateman and Ayuk. Start in half PPR, DJ Moore, Michael Pittman, T. Higgins, Javonte Williams. Start 2. I think I answered this one earlier. Or maybe I didn't. Michael Pittman and DJ Moore. JJ, will you adopt me? No, I will not. Also, how do you feel about playing multiple wide receivers from the same team versus playing the higher scoring tier? Blah, blah, blah. Okay, let's just move on from that question. I can only answer start sit questions on this show because it's just too much thinking to start talking strategy and stuff. So hit me up on Twitter at Late Round QB and I can talk about that. Half PPR, need 1 wide receiver and 1 flex. Terry McLaurin, Jalen Waddle, or Miles Sanders. I'm going to sit Waddle, I think, of that group. Would you start Aaron Jones over them if he plays? No, I would not. Hey, JJ, I have a lineup dilemma. If Aaron Jones doesn't play today, should I drop Jerry Jeudy, allowing me to play a kicker or defense, or drop one of those for a running back so I can hold Jeudy? I don't really understand this question, but I would not be dropping Jerry Jeudy if that helps. Next question, Devontae or Gaskin in half PPR. I'm going Gaskin. Start 1 in half PPR, Evan Ingram, Gerald Everett, Tyler Conklin. Let's go with Evan Ingram. I actually like Evan Ingram today with no Kadarius Toney, no Sterling Shepard, and the best matchup for tight ends in fantasy football. Freeman or Javonte Williams. Let's go Javonte Williams. Kareem coming off IR or Dillon with Aaron Jones back. I mean, look, we don't know if Aaron Jones is back, but I would probably still go with AJ Dillon over Kareem Hunt. Elijah, Javonte, or Miles Sanders this week. Let's go with Miles Sanders. Russell Wilson or Kirk Cousins. I'm going Kirk Cousins. Javonte Williams or Bateman. Let's go with, I love Javonte's matchup. Let's go Javonte there. OBJ, Kareem, Ty Johnson, or Javonte for upside. Let's go Javonte again. Half PPR, Javonte or Mike Williams. Let's half PPR. I mean, if you need ceiling, go Mike Williams. If you need more of a floor because Javante's got guaranteed volume, I'd go Javonte. Top 2 in PPR, Boyd, Laviska, Galladay. This one's really tough. I'd probably play Boyd. And Galladay. I hate Galladay's matchup. I hate Galladay's situation. I mean, if you want to go Laviska, I think Laviska has a higher floor, but I think Galladay has the best ceiling of all these guys. But I'm going to play Tyler Boyd in a good slot matchup against the Steelers. Rodgers or Stafford. I lean Rodgers, I think. Rest of season, Dontrell Hilliard or DJ Dallas. I'm going to go Dontrell Hilliard. Pick 3 in standard. AJ Dillon, Aaron Jones, Miles Sanders, Elijah Mitchell. Let's go with Miles Sanders to lock that in so you don't have to deal with the, like what happens if Elijah Mitchell doesn't play? Then you have to all of a sudden play 2 Green Bay running backs. Let's go with Miles Sanders. Let's go with AJ Dillon if Aaron Jones is out. And let's go with Elijah Mitchell if Aaron Jones is in. PPR, Damian Harris or Jeff Wilson with Mitchell back. I'd go Damian Harris, even though I don't love him today. David Johnson or Ty Johnson, pick 1. Let's go Ty Johnson. Full PPR, pick 2. Alex Collins, Aaron Jones, Dontrell Hilliard, David Johnson. So you have, I would just go with Collins and, oh man. This is the toughest one I've gotten all day. I'm going to go with Hilliard and Collins because I don't trust Aaron Jones seeing a lot of work. Hunter Henry or Dan Arnold. Let's go with Dan Arnold. Tyrod Taylor or Jimmy G in full PPR as if they're going out and catching passes. I'm going to go with Jimmy G there. Cam over Stafford with the pain management news. Yes. I mean, that's fine if you want to do that. Sure. Yeah. I saw that report from ESPN. PPR pick 2 of 3, Elijah Mitchell, Judy, and Devontae Smith. I would go Devontae Smith to lock that in, and then see what happens with the Elijah Mitchell news. And I'd go Elijah Mitchell over Judy, but if he doesn't play, go Judy. Half PPR, Elijah Mitchell or Elijah Moore. I'd probably risk it with Elijah Mitchell, I think. David Johnson, or if you want more of a floor, though, obviously Elijah Moore is a lot safer. David Johnson or Damian Harris, pick 1. I'm going Damian Harris. Dillon or Miles Sanders. I think you got to go with Miles Sanders at this point. Lockett or Elijah Moore in full PPR. I'm going Lockett. Full PPR pick 2, Mike Williams, Devontae Smith, Rashad Bateman. Let's go with the first 2. Need 2 in PPR / tight end premium. I love tight end premium questions. Stevenson, Harris, Dallas, Collins, and Arnold. Let's go with Arnold as 1, and let's go with Harris as the other. Russ or Rodgers. I'm going Rodgers. Elijah Mitchell or Antonio Gibson. Assuming Elijah Mitchell plays, let's go Mitchell. Cam Newton or Russell Wilson. I think you can go Russ, but Cam is probably a little bit safer just given the way that Russ has played. Half PPR, Elijah Moore, Higgins, Lockett, Odell, Judy. Pick 2. Thanks, JJ. I don't know what Moore is being. Oh, Elijah Moore. My bad. I am tired after a long trip yesterday. Elijah Moore, Higgins, Lockett, Odell, Judy. Okay. If you're starting, you need 2. I'm going with Lockett, and let's go with Judy as the other one. Terry McLaurin or Devontae Smith. Let's go Terry McLaurin. DJ Moore or Elijah Moore. I'm going DJ Moore. Kareem Hunt. I mean, depends on who you'd be playing him over. Love the show. Hope and pray for Logan Thomas or Evan Ingram. Go with Evan Ingram. He has a good matchup. Miles Sanders or Elijah Mitchell this week in full PPR. I'm going Miles Sanders. I love Miles Sanders today, apparently. Don't at me if he has a bad game. Half PPR, Rashad Bateman or Ty Johnson. I'm going to go Rashad Bateman. Slight underdog, half PPR, need 1 of Deontay Foreman, Nick Westbrook-Akine, Laviska Shenault, or Kenny Galladay. I think Foreman is the safest play of that group, but I think if you need more of a ceiling, Kenny Galladay is the play, and I think sort of in the middle is probably Laviska Shenault. Pick 2 from Devontae Smith, Patterson, Miles Sanders, AJ Dillon, or Dontrell Hilliard. This is tough because you have decent enough options to play over Dillon. I would lock in Miles Sanders, and I'd probably play Cordero Patterson. Yeah, I think that's the direction I'd go in a non-PPR league. But obviously, if we knew that Aaron Jones wasn't going to play, I would easily say AJ Dillon of that group. So if you need that ceiling, go with AJ Dillon. Lockett or Elijah Moore, I'm going Lockett. Non-PPR pick 2, Javonte, Melvin Gordon, or Miles Sanders. I'm going to go with Miles Sanders, and I guess Melvin Gordon, just because he's outscored him. He's done better than Javonte. Ayuk or Lockett. Let's go Lockett. Stafford with reports he's banged up, or Jimmy G. I'd still go with Stafford. Pick 1, full PPR, Jones, Stevenson, Foreman, or Jeff Wilson. I will go with, I don't know what Jones this is referring to, so I'm going to skip this one. Have CD and Tyreek is out this week. I have Gibson and Patterson in my running back slots and Lockett and Judy in the wide receiver spots. Would you put Bateman or Harris in the flex, or would you change anything else? I mean, I don't know who else is on your roster, but I would go with Bateman over Harris, I think. As long as, I don't know if it says that, I don't think it says it's a full PPR league. I'm assuming PPR, so I'm going to go with Bateman. Galladay or Hilliard in half PPR. I'd probably go with Galladay. Miles Sanders or Elijah Mitchell this week in full PPR. Let's go with Miles Sanders. Wentz or Newton. I'd probably lean Newton, but I don't mind Carson Wentz today. Dillon or Gibson. You'll have Aaron Jones information by then, fortunately. So I would probably just play Gibson, if Aaron Jones plays, and if he doesn't, go with AJ Dillon. I'm stuck on Tyler Lockett or Elijah Moore. Lockett has a great matchup, but Moore has Corey out. I can't decide. Yeah, but Tyler Lockett also has Russell Wilson. So I'm going to go with Tyler Lockett there. Need 2.5 point Burkhead, Gage, Freiermuth, Conklin. I'll go with Gage and Freiermuth there. Salary considered for Fanduel, CMC, or Dylan. It's really tough to answer that because we don't know the Aaron Jones situation. If you have an ability to pivot, then I would just go. I think Dylan's a better value probably, but it's pretty close. I mean, they're both top tier values this week in plays. Quarter PPR pick 2, Elijah Moore, Ramondre Stevenson, Rashad Bateman. Let's bench the running back there. Devontae Freeman or Javonte Williams. Let's go with Javonte very slightly. Russell Wilson or Kirk Cousins. I'm going Cousins. Which Pats running back? Probably Damian Harris still. Both of them over Kareem. Yeah. I'd probably say both of them over Kareem Hunt. PPR McKissick or Alex Collins. I'm going to go with McKissick. But if you need more upside by the time that game hits, you can just go with Alex Collins because I think that he does have a little bit more upside. Non-PPR wide receiver 2 needed. MVS, Van Jefferson, or Crowder. Let's go with Van. Bateman or Gesicki in full PPR. Probably lean Gesicki there. I just like the matchup a good bit. It's really, really close though. Half PPR flex. Hilliard, Javonte, Bateman, or Coleman. Let's go Javonte. Tyler Lockett or Elijah Moore. I'm going Tyler Lockett. That one is a very common question that people are asking. Full PPR pick 1. Hopefully some people go with Elijah Moore to sort of hedge a little bit with me saying Lockett over and over again. Full PPR pick 1, Mike Williams, Rashad Bateman, or Aaron Jones. Let's go with Mike Williams there. Half PPR flex, AJ Dillon or Brandon Cooks. I think Brandon Cooks is a good enough play. But if you need ceiling, it's absolutely AJ Dillon. If you need more of a floor, I think Brandon Cooks is a good enough play to play over AJ Dillon. That's a really tough one though. Rodgers or Stafford, I'm leaning Rodgers. Deep league PPR, Kendrick Bourne or Nick Westbrook-Akine. I'm going Kendrick Bourne. He was actually a sleeper on my sleeper show this week where I talk about guys sort of in that range. So if you guys aren't subscribed, check out the late round podcast. Shenault or Tyler Boyd. Let's go with Tyler Boyd in that slot matchup. Half PPR, Ayuk or Elijah Mitchell. I'd go Elijah Mitchell. Hilliard or Jacoby Myers in full PPR. I'm going Jacoby Myers. Brady or Rodgers. You're playing Brady. Brady's in a great spot. Pick 2, half PPR, Bateman, Galladay, Javonte, or Cooks. Let's go with Javonte and Cooks. Need to start 2.5 PPR, Miles Sanders, Cordero, Chase Claypool, AJ Dillon. Thanks for everything. I would go with Miles and Cordero. I think I answered this one earlier. Half PPR, Superflex, Rashad Bateman or Ty Johnson. I would go with Rashad Bateman. Jimmy G or Teddy, I'm going Jimmy G. PPR rank, Gronk, Ingram, Higbee. Probably in that order, given the matchup for Ingram. Rest of season, Emmanuel Sanders or Rashad Bateman. Probably Rashad Bateman. Thanks for tuning in. 2 wide receivers in PPR, Mike Williams, Devontae Smith, Judy Bateman, or Elijah Moore. Need more upside. Let's go with, this is really tough. I think I'm going to go with Devontae Smith and Mike Williams, but you could make an argument for Judy for sure. I don't think Bateman's in this conversation. And Elijah Moore, just the quarterback situation just turns me off a little bit, so I'm not going to go that direction. But, he's shown that he has great upside. I love Elijah Moore. And clearly you listen to the podcast and you know that because you said thanks for tuning in. So I'm going to go with Mike Williams and Devontae. Saquon or McLaurin, I'm going Saquon. T. Higgins or Hilliard, I'm going T. Higgins. Westbrook-Akine or Russell Gage or Marquez Callaway, already played. I'm going to go with Westbrook-Akine. I'm going to go with Russell Gage there. 0.5 PPR wide receiver 2, DJ Moore or Jerry Jeudy. I'm going to lean DJ Moore. Hey, JJ, half PPR Odell or Jacoby Myers. I'd probably play with Jacoby Myers for floor, but Odell obviously has a better ceiling than Myers, who's only scored 1 career touchdown. Miles Sanders or Elijah Mitchell this week, rather. I'm going to go with Miles Sanders. Half PPR pick 2, Lockett, Claypool, Elijah Moore. I'm going to go with the first 2. PPR, Myers, Elijah Moore, or Claypool. I will go with Claypool there. Flex play, half PPR, Javonte or Claypool. I think Javonte floor, Claypool ceiling. Does it change if you could start one? No, it wouldn't change. Hey, JJ, half PPR, Odell or Jacoby Myers. I think Jacoby Myers is still the play. I have like 20 seconds left, and then I got to hand this thing off to Jess and Ryan. Hey, JJ, half PPR, Odell or Jacoby Myers. I just answered that one. Kittle or Javonte Williams. I'm going to lean Kittle there. Baker or Odell or Deontay Foreman in Superflex. Pick 1. I'd still go with Baker. Rex Burkhead or Alex Collins. I'm going to go with Alex Collins. I think he has a little bit more upside. Aaron Jones, Mike Williams, Javonte, and half PPR pick 2. I'm going to bench Aaron Jones there. Half PPR pick 2, Devontae Smith, Chase Claypool, Brandon Ayuk, Rashad Bateman. I'm going to go with the first 2, and that's going to do it for me. It's 12:30. That's the last question I can answer today. If you guys have more questions, which there are more on here, there's a lot of questions today. you can hit me up on Twitter at Late Round QB. I'll try to answer those questions for you. Otherwise, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel here at Fanduel, and you will get notified anytime that we go live, I believe. Make sure you're actually subscribed and following all of our social across all platforms, whether that's Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, etc. I believe we have Jess and Ryan hopping on. So we'll see if they are going to come on soon. There we go. There they come.
Yep,
There's Ryan.
Here we are.
Yeah.
There's Jessica. What's going on, guys?
What's
Hello.
up, buddy?
You guys have a good
stuff.
Thanksgiving? Everything good?
Yeah, man, it was good. It was could have been better from a DFS perspective.
Hear
if
that.
We get something different with Dallas going, but it was fun, man. It was a fun ride.
Awesome.
How about yourself?
It was good. I'm just exhausted from a lot of traveling and stuff. So I will let you guys do your thing, talk some sports betting, and I'll catch everyone later.
Sounds good, JJ. Thanks for the pass off. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in or sticking around. Shout out to JJ there, who always does a good job answering all of your questions, even going above and beyond, going past the time, Jessica, and getting people's questions answered. So if you guys are just jumping in, Fanduel kickoff to countdown show is starting off. Myself, Ryan Williams, joined by Jessica Gridiron. You can find her on Twitter at Gridiron and Wine. And Jessica, as we get into week 12 here, interesting slate that we have. A lot of games that are under 50, which we haven't seen. But, to be expected when we have a little bit of a shortened slate with the Thanksgiving slate. We just had 3 teams play. We got a couple teams on bye, a lot of explosive teams on bye as well. So as I ask you about your Thanksgiving as well, please chime in on that. We want to make sure you had a happy holiday, but just let us know what you're kind of seeing overall with the week 12 betting slate.
Yeah, definitely. I had a great Thanksgiving, by the way. Thank you. I'm still feel like I'm recovering. A lot of family in town. So it's like feels like it's just more than one day.
For sure.
Yes, but I'm finally ready to just relax and watch some football.
Love it.
Yeah, as far as and with Thanksgiving betting, I had a pretty good day on there. And then I did, and I picked just a few games today, just because I can't bet on every game, otherwise that's too much for me. But one of the games I do like on the early slate is that Texans game versus the Jets at -2.5. I still believe what it still is at. I like the Texans in this matchup because the best thing is their defense has actually really shown up the past couple weeks, especially the last 2 games. They've had 6 interceptions, they've only allowed 2 touchdown passes, and that was against the Titans and the Dolphins. They sacked Tannehill twice, Brissett 4 times, and their secondary is really what's, been amazing here. They're ranked 6th in the league right now. And then you have Tyrod Taylor. When he plays a full game, they're almost averaging 22.7 points. And he's also using his legs, which is incredible to see too. But when you look at their stats, overall they're in the bottom 30s, but you have to remember that was with Mills playing a lot of the games. Mm-hmm. Then you have the Jets, where it's the Jets, they're the worst. They're one of the worst against the spread actually in the NFL this season. They're only covering 20% of their games. They're clearly having quarterback issues. Yes, I know Zach Wilson is back to starting, but they were really heavily on the fact of he's only going to come back when he's 100%, but obviously there were COVID issues with the other 2 quarterbacks. So is he really 100%? He's still, I feel like he's going to have rookie mistakes in this matchup. And even though with having 4 weeks off, I just feel like it's going to be a tough game for him overall. And then you just look at their defense, the Jets defense, they're dead last all over the place. So I feel like Tyrod Taylor will be able to shred this defense, and they're going to be able to put points on the board.
Yeah, I absolutely love this pick, Jessica. You're looking at 2.5, and it might feel a little bit juiced at where it's coming at when you're talking about the state of these 2 teams and who they have been. But love the defensive stat that you were talking about here with the Texans. And I think I saw something over the past 2 games that they, have had like 10 turnovers forced or some crazy statistical number like that. So absolutely playing. And this team is really rallying behind Tyrod or however you want to say his name. He has been absolutely great for this offense. Stellar when you consider, what they dealt with going into the season and drafting Davis Mills. He's not looking good. So I do like getting a lean on that under a field goal there at home against the Jets, who have struggled to get anything going. It's quarterback roulette there in New York. And they're going to be missing one of their key pieces in Corey Davis too, right? So I know Elijah Moore, that's JJ's guy. He's been beating the drum for him for months and months and months. He's been explosive. We'll see what Jamison Crowder could do, but they don't have their stud Michael Carter as well in the backfield. It'll be the Ty Johnson show, we think. So very interesting bets that you can place here as well on the FanDuel Sportsbook for anytime touchdown. I do like the Tyrod plus 240 to score an anytime touchdown. You have said that he's using his legs a lot and they get in that red zone. They just released Phillip Lindsay. So you're looking at Rex Burkhead and David Johnson just being back there. That's an interesting play in the early slate. We also have another fun one in the early slate. I think they've removed the line. There's a lot that's been going on here with Tampa Bay and the Colts. I know that the total on that line has been moving a ton since it opened. I believe it opened at maybe 51. I saw it get bet up to 52.5, 53 in some places. What's your read on Tampa Bay as they have kind of gotten going late? And this is a game for the Colts that they, could use for the division as well.
Yeah, this one's a tough one for me. But if I'd have to make a play on it, I kind of like the Colts, to be honest, with the 3.5. Just looking at them, they've scored 33.5 points per game in the last 6 weeks, and they're putting themselves actually in playoff contention, which is great,
Right.
Carson Wentz is playing when he plays smart. He's playing extremely well. But you know who the star of the show is when it comes to the Colts offense, Jonathan Taylor. And here they are going up against the Bucs defense. But a little interesting fact is Tampa, the 3 losses they've had so far this season are actually all on the road. And here they are heading into Indy. And so this is like something to consider. And of course you have Brady, who, he's leading the NFL with 29 touchdown passes at the age 44. But the Bucs, they tend to dominate at home, and they show signs of struggling on the road, like I had mentioned. But the big thing, though, to looking at the Bucs is they have Vita Vea back, and I believe he should be starting, right?
Huge.
Yeah. So this is like a big deal with their defense. This is going to be a big, opportunity. Are they going to be able to shut down Jonathan Taylor? Are they going to be able to keep him from coming out and having an explosive game? Jonathan Taylor, he's averaging 157.7 yards rushing in the last 3 games. And he's just a threat all across the board. And then, all you just rely on Carson Wentz to just play smart, don't make those silly mistakes, and, they can be extremely successful. But the Bucs, they're still coming in, and they're they saw what we did to the Giants, but, you have to remember it's the Giants. So as much as they look hot after their bye, yes, but that's why I kind of like the Colts in this matchup. But this is probably a stay away game for me, but I like the Colts.
Yeah, I hear you. It's going to be a fun one. I think that's an interesting one just from a fan perspective to watch. You got Tom Brady going back to Indy. I believe that is where Deflategate was birthed. I saw a lot of people talking about that on Twitter, that, the narrative, Tom Brady going back, he could want to, really show out. And again, they had kind of been reeling. And like you said, the Giants win. I mean, while it was a win and they needed that to, kind of right the ship after those 2 losses, they have to go out and prove that they can still, beat these teams who are, at the top of the NFL pedigree. So I look for them to come out and definitely show out. So this will be a fun one. If Carson Wentz can, like you said, keep control of the ball, not make those mistakes or make minimal mistakes and keep into that game, we should have a lot of fireworks going on there in Indy with the Tampa Bay game. Some interesting other ones that I wanted to touch on in the early slate as well. I see you got that Dolphins helmet in the back there, and Carolina's kind of been an interesting team as of late, with Cam Newton coming back into the fold, or returning to his team, to his stomping grounds, and getting into the fold. Christian McCaffrey coming back and absolutely looking like he hasn't missed a beat at all. So really interesting game there. And then also the Atlanta-Jacksonville game is really intriguing to me. You got Atlanta -1.5, and this team has not looked like they can, they're reeling. I mean, they haven't been in these games. They're playing Jacksonville on the road and being favored. And I get it. Jacksonville, talking about only two-win team. They haven't looked great as well. But, this is something where the kid Trevor Lawrence can go out and really show out against this Atlanta team. And that line kind of makes me a little bit weary. I'd probably stay away from the line just because it is so close. That's one where I'd probably look to go straight up. But let me know how you're feeling on either of those two games there with Atlanta, Jacksonville, or Carolina and Miami.
Yeah, definitely. So with the Panthers and Dolphins game, I'm honestly split in this one. I could go either way, but it's probably a stay away for me. I'm just going to enjoy it as a fan in this situation because, yeah, you have Tua when he's healthy. He's been playing extremely well, but, he does have one of the worst offensive lines in the league, and his wide receiver core is depleted as well. And here he is going up against a stout defense in the Panthers. It's their defense that's really playing extremely well this year. Their offense has obviously been shaky, but now it's true with Cam being back. You can already see with his chemistry already back with CMC, with Robbie Anderson, with DJ Moore, and he could have a really good game with all these players that he has, like I said, chemistry with. However, but the thing is, the Dolphins defense is really showing up these last couple weeks, and they could really cause Cam to cause some mistakes, and that could turn around and put the Dolphins in good field position and have Tua be able to get the ball down the field and put points up on the board.
No, that's a great point about the defense. Their defense has been really good as of late.
Yeah, exactly. Now looking at this Falcons game and Jags, I mean, this is of course I've been fading the Jags all season. It's been an easy one, but this is kind of a tough matchup here. You have the Falcons. I mean, only at -2. I feel like it's going to go one of two ways. It's either going to be, it's a hard game to watch in general. I feel like these are two really bad teams, but it's either going to be the typical Jags where there's only going to be like less than 10 points on each side of the team, or it's going to be like a total shootout and it's going to be like 30 something to 36 or something. Just like both teams are just gonna be like, what's going on? And from a fantasy perspective, everyone's gonna be like, yes, I'm so glad.
Right. I love
yeah, so they just both have like the terrible defenses, except the Jags are able to stop the run. They're able to get at stopping the run. However, it's just really Matt Ryan and his being able to throw the ball. They don't really have a run game. Jags, it's just one of those, James Robinson, again, from a fantasy perspective, I feel like he could have a really good game in this matchup. But I just feel like it's one of those, just watch it actually maybe don't watch it. See if there's anything happening and exciting from a red zone perspective.
For sure. No, this is one I think, a lot of people just in the DFS community, I think this is one that will catch a little bit of steam. I've seen, people talking about maybe having some Matt Ryan exposure just because of the state, right? Just of this team. We're getting Cordero Patterson back, and I'm looking at his anytime touchdown prop here at plus 100. So basically even money you want to put down on that to double it up. I love that bet there because Mike Davis hasn't gotten anything going, and we know that this Jaguars team is just really depleted on defense as well. So a lot of fun options there to target, and on both sides too. We saw that Laviska Shenault, they talked about getting him some more carries as they kind of trying to figure out something as they've lost DJ Chark, and it seems like they've been trying to figure that out all season long. So a lot of fun prop bets to be made over there on the Fanduel Sportsbook. I just wanted to pull up to see if we could get any action on rushing and receiving for Cordero Patterson. Yeah, over 78.5 yards there. That's an interesting one. He's been a guy that has been the catalyst for their offense for quite some time. Those are two games that I thought, were fun. But yeah, just guys, as we talk about the state of the slate, I mean, really only in the noon games, and that's for me, Central Time, 1 p.m. Eastern Time for those folks listening in. The Tampa Bay and Indy game is the only one with a betting total over 50 points. All these other games we're looking at, the Falcons in Jacksonville, 45.5, Carolina and Miami 41.5, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati 43.5. I mean, just real ugly. And then when we get into the afternoon slate, that's kind of where it opens up. Are there any other things that you're seeing in the early slate? Oh, let's talk about this game here. You might not have a lean on it, Jessica, but I think it's interesting to talk about for the people. And shout out to everybody watching along with us here on the Countdown to Kickoff show here. Ryan Williams and Jessica Gridiron talking about the games that you should be betting on here on the Fanduel Sportsbook. We got Tennessee visiting Foxborough. And Tennessee was a team that, I mean, Jessica, they looked like they were primed to compete in the AFC. I mean, Derrick Henry was putting up numbers to possibly have him in the MVP conversation. They lose him. The AJ Brown is now on IR. Julio Jones hasn't been gotten going. I mean, all these guys, the three stooges for Ryan Tannehill, are going to be missing. And this is the week where you need them. You're going into Foxborough. This Patriots defense has been absolutely unbelievable this year. And you're talking about the money that they spent on the defense there. Belichick, that's his, prime source of getting things done. And the Patriots are kind of on a quest to win the division with the way the Buffalo's been playing, if they can, keep up this pace. So what are you feeling about this? It's a 7.5 total. I just don't know how Tennessee can stay in this game on the road if this gets, if the Patriots are able to get up by 7, and it's 7.5. So they'll just run it down and kick field goals and could hit this spread, even though it doesn't seem like a way that we usually like to attack the Patriots.
No, for sure. And this is one of those games that was just, it was a hard one to look at because so you have the Titans, which I would lean, because 7.5 points is a lot of points to me for still it being Tennessee. But this is a stay away game for me because, this is why I look at the game here. Yes, you have the Patriots defense where they have the biggest turnaround, especially without Stephon Gilmore. I mean, just think about it. The Pats were 2-4 in the beginning of the season. And now they hear possibly and looking pretty good that they might win the division. And being a Dolphins fan, this is something that I hate to, it's in my throat that I'm like, all right, I was accepting the Bills to win. And now I'm like, okay, really? Belichick, you had to come in and, prove us, they're leading the NFL right now with 18 interceptions, and 3 of them they return for touchdowns, including Kyle Van Noy's pick 6 in week 11. Their total DVOA is ranked 2nd in the league right now. I mean, that's just how amazing their defense is. And that's just really, defenses win championships, and even with their rookie quarterback. And yeah, you have Ryan Tannehill, who he's going to have his hands full in this matchup. You got Julio Jones out still, and now AJ Brown is out for the next 3 weeks. So, and of course, Derrick Henry. And Ryan, he just has to be careless. He can't be careless with the ball like he has been.
Yep.
Actually, last year he had only 13 interceptions, and he has 12 so far in the season, 4 of which came last week against the Texans. And like I mentioned, their run game has, become depleted, and they've just really turned one-dimensional. And now you have the Patriots offense where they're heavily influenced on the run game. We've clearly see that. And they're going into facing a defense that's ranked 18th in rush DVOA. So all they have to do is just utilize their quarterback, Mac Jones, to just dink and duck the ball down the field. And, you clearly see how his favorite target is tight end Hunter Henry.
Right.
And it's just, but it's one of those things where it's a little too much points. But however, this could totally go on the Patriots side and they could dominate this game, or the Titans might come back and have one of these miracle wins like they've honestly been doing so far this season.
No,
and
for
you're
sure.
like, okay, what's going on?
Yeah, no, these fourth quarter magic, I feel like usually is what happens. I mean, they had the, Music City Miracle so long ago, and now it just everything in Tennessee and Nashville kind of seems to happen for Tennessee, but this is on the road here. So it will be tough. I know that they have this kid, Dontrell Hilliard, in the backfield. They've kind of rotated a couple pieces. They signed Adrian Peterson. They have this Donta Foreman kid who, reports are that Donta Foreman's supposed to be the lead back. But then you look at I was just looking at the box score as I was setting my DFS lineups, and this Hilliard guy, he got like 18, 20 touches, opportunities last week, and very involved in the passing game. So maybe, even if they're behind, he could still be on the field and utilized. And he's an interesting piece, I think, from a DFS perspective. On FanDuel, he's plus 280 to score an anytime touchdown. I mean, I really just don't know what pieces you can trust on the Tennessee side to kind of keep this contest going. I do find it interesting here, Jessica. We do have a revenge game narrative here with Jonnu Smith. It's against Tennessee. You'd love it to be in Nashville for this guy playing against his former team, but it is in Foxborough. Both him and Hunter Henry are active. Hunter Henry to score is plus 210. He is Mac Jones' favorite target. I believe that's boosted by Fanduel. Actually, I can go pull that up in a second. Jonnu Smith is 500, so 5-1 to score a touchdown against his former team. That's interesting. They did. Oh no, here it is. Yeah, Sunday's BS boost. You got Hunter Henry to score a touchdown and Patriots win. So you got that parlay there, but plus 350 there. I mean, that's a good one that you can get after and be potentially successful on, a good number to get at. Okay, guys, you're watching the FanDuel Countdown to Kickoff show. We appreciate everybody who's watching along. Hopefully you're taking Jessica's advice and making some of these bets. Jessica, you were hot on Thanksgiving. I mean, I'm sorry that my Bears -2.5 decide that, you have a chance to win it and just take a knee. I could not believe, listen, if I had the remote in my hand, I probably would be Black Friday shopping Friday for a new TV, because I just could not believe that. Leaving up to the kicker, Santos has been good for us. It was not the point that, I thought that he might miss or whatever. It's just, you have a chance. Matt Nagy was on the hot seat. Basically, you try and win the game with the touchdown on the goal line. Tough. But the other two bets that you had were very successful there. So I know you had a very successful Thanksgiving, which is always fun. So guys, make sure you're checking out Jessica's bets at Gridiron and Wine is where you can find her on Twitter. She's killing the game right now. Jessica, are there any other leans before we get into the afternoon slate? I want to make sure we touch on this one, as we got some interesting and compelling games in this afternoon slate here.
Yeah, definitely. Just real quickly, I'll just go over. I also really like the Eagles at -3.5 against the Giants. Yeah, you have the Eagles, which I think I mentioned before, but they're dominating in the run game, which we've clearly seen. Miles Sanders is back. Boston Scott. Of course, you have Jalen Hurts. They have won the last 3 games as favorites and covered against the spread. Their defense is solid, and they're a tough matchup to play on. Their total EPA is 10th and total DVA is 18th. They've also, they had two, and then you have the Giants, where they had 2 weeks to prepare for the Bucs, and they were only able to put up 10 points. So how well is Daniel Jones going to be able to handle the pressure, especially with the weak offensive line going into this matchup? It took them 11 weeks to get Jason Garrett gone and get the boot here. So, and then just overall, the Giants, they're struggling to stay healthy. You have especially with Saquon Barkley. And, I know Kenny Galladay's had some issues, but he was also, look at that huge contract they signed for him, and he really hasn't done much. I feel like they're just not utilizing him the way that they should be. And so for just all those quick reasons, especially just the Eagles, they're coming in hot. I wasn't a big believer in the Eagles early on. I will admit that. However, they've really come around and proven themselves. So I think this is a good matchup where they'll be able to cover.
No, this is a huge game. I'm so happy that you brought this up, Jessica, because there's a lot to dissect here with this game. I mean, first of all, let's talk about the NFC least division, right? I mean, this is a huge game for the Philly. The Raiders just beat the Cowboys in Dallas on Thanksgiving. The Eagles beat the Raiders earlier on in the season. Now, because the Eagles lost to, Dallas, if the first tiebreaker would be that, record, they play each other the last game of the season. But if it comes down to that third potential tiebreaker, you start looking at opponents, and that win over the Raiders for Philly could really, carry some weight if they're able to beat the Cowboys on the final week, if it comes down to it. So this is a really big game for Philly. You're talking about the Giants on the other side. They just fired their offense coordinator and Jason Garrett. And they got Freddie Kitchens now, this guy from, the start of Baker Mayfield's career. And he had done some good things on offense, which is why he kind of got named the head coach position while he was in Cleveland. It didn't work out, but now he has a chance to be back calling the plays here for the Giants. And, I would kind of like the Giants side a little bit more if we had pieces that were healthy. But the other thing, Jessica, is this team is absolutely depleted. You love the work that Saquon's getting, and we look at his anytime touchdown prop, it's plus 105. I mean, that he's going to be the catalyst for this team. He's the way to keep them in the game. But they're missing Kadarius Toney. They're missing Sterling Shepard. They're missing both tight ends outside of Evan Ingram and Caden Smith and Kyle Rudolph. So 4 offensive pieces that are going to be out for this team. It's going to be tough sledding for them. I mean, Darius Slay is back healthy for the Eagles. You talked about their metrics on defense. Absolutely intriguing. I love the Eagles defense actually from a DFS perspective here, taking on the Giants, and they are going overlooked. And I just don't understand why, because this is a prime spot for them to wreak some havoc. So absolutely love getting that.
Totally agree. Yes.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so we got the early slate covered real quick. I got my second team, the hat on here. I'm repping them. We got Pittsburgh Steelers, Cincinnati. You like anything in that game? Just in general at all?
Man, this is another one where I was like, I don't know, but I'd lean the Steelers, even though the Bengals really look like the way to go. It's just like,
Yep.
When I start liking way too many favorites, there's an issue here, you know?
Yep.
But you have when you're looking at the Bengals, you have Joe Mixon, who's had 7 touchdowns in 7 straight, who's had a touchdown, in 7 straight games. And here he is facing a front 7 ranked 16th in DVOA. The Steelers defense has allowed a league worst of 4.76 yards per run, and their biggest issue is 24 of their first and 10s have gone for 10 yards or longer, with 3 of those going for touchdowns. So this is why we could see a really big game from a Mixon standpoint here. Then, of course, there's Jamar Chase. He's averaging 184 yards per catch, and you have cornerback Joe Hayden out, which it's possible from the Steelers side, again, that Jamar Chase could have a really good game. But again, this is a divisional matchup here, and this is just one of those things where when you look at their stats and everything, the Bengals, it's their defense that's carrying their team and not their offense. And then here I am looking into this game deeper, and they're showing a lot of offense, how good they are offensively. I'm just not sold on it. And the Steelers, just some way, as banged up as they have been, they've been able to cover in a lot of situations. But at the end of the day, it's a stay away game for me.
I hear you on that. Yeah, that's a one where I just have no read on that. I mean, I could possibly be talked into taking the Steelers points there. The tough loss for them and the Chargers on primetime last week. Really a game that I thought they could come back and win, but just a lot of issues that they've had on both the offensive side and defensive side of the ball. But you love that they're getting back. I believe Minkah Fitzpatrick's back for them, and TJ Watt. So that should really help them out there. Mm-hmm. And we got only a couple more minutes with the guys here, Jessica, who are tuning in. So I want to make sure we hit on these afternoon slate games. We got the Chargers traveling into Denver, Minnesota, and San Francisco, which is probably, we can say maybe the game of the week, quote unquote, so to speak. But then you also got the Rams and the Packers, which could also be viewed as game of the week too. So what of these 3 games are you liking, if anything at all?
Yeah, so out of those, my favorite is actually taking the Chargers.
Okay.
Not the Chargers as I like them as I'm taking the under 47 points. Divisional game, both teams suck at stopping the run. As we all know, Chargers are dead last. The Broncos, they're ranked 28th. So both teams in their game plan should really use this to their advantage. Use their running backs. You have Eckler's on pace to have his best season of his career right now. Broncos, they got the 2-headed monster in Gordon and Williams, who Gordon's averaging 4.4 yards per carry and Williams averaging 5. So if they're going to do that, what does that mean? They're going to burn the clock. They're going to slow the pace. There's going to be less points put on the board. Then what does Broncos even want to do? They want to keep the ball out of Herbert's hands. As much as he did struggle facing them last season. However, it's a new year, and we all see how explosive Herbert can be, especially with that deep ball. So that's what the Broncos are going to not want to have happen in this situation. So that's why I like this game, and I think the under is the best way to go. Aside, I would want to say the Chargers. I mean, they should be able to, but it's one of those. Again, I'm not too sure those Chargers, man.
Yeah, no, it's a tough look there with the team. You'd never know. It is interesting though. These games with Denver, I'd been taking the under in a lot of these games and actually been being disappointed. These are games that can break weird. We know that Teddy Bridgewater likes to protect the ball, but they, have explosive enough pieces, with the 2-headed backfield, Javonte Williams, Melvin Gordon, and then now Judy is back and he's got a contract. Courtland Sutton's got a contract. Noah Fant's healthy. But I do like the way you're looking at it with the under, because I think more often than not, we're looking at a game that is going to be really slugfest, grinded out here with these two teams, especially with the Chargers being the ones on the road playing in that altitude. But that's just a weird one that I think I have a little bit of exposure to that game in DFS from Herbert's text, thinking that it breaks away and something can open up there.
Yeah, and then I think you mentioned too, when it comes to the Rams versus Packers, this is a lean for me too, but I would lean the Packers on this. And I also kind of really like the over 46.5, if that's what it's still at right now.
Okay.
But this is clearly a quarterback battle between two great quarterbacks. You have Hall of Fame Aaron Rodgers, who's dealing with a toe injury, but he's less prone to making turnover mistakes. And he is better at making plays outside of the pocket. And of course, his chemistry with Devontae Adams is unreal. But of course, then there's Matthew Stafford, who's fourth in the NFL in touchdown passes and passer rating. He he has an amazing arm, which we all know. And now he has the coaching, he has the playmakers around him to be super successful. They're coming off of a bye. So, they've had really a lot of time to prepare, especially going up against this Packers defense, which, I feel like some weeks they play extremely well, then some weeks you're kind of a little questionable. And yeah, so that's why I kind of like the matchup in this, with just two powerhouse quarterbacks. Like, I'm more of the over than actually taking a side. But if I had to take a side, I would lean the Packers in this game.
Okay. Yeah, I love that. I mean, anytime that you can get plus action on Green Bay at home, I get it. The COVID toe, pinky broken, whatever. But they are getting ready to go into their bye. I think you had mentioned as well too. So they could, really, use the break, and this could be a good game, a good team win to kind of go in there and kind of right the ship. Guys, we're getting up until lock. I know it's 1 p.m. on Eastern time, 12 p.m. Central. I know your teams have locked up, but real quickly, Jessica, before you go, we got Sunday, Cleveland, Baltimore, and then Monday, Seattle, Washington. We will talk about Seattle and Washington a little bit tomorrow on the Monday night preview show, the Q&A. But Baltimore and Cleveland, you got any read on this game? We got Baker Mayfield, who's healthy, Lamar Jackson supposedly healthy, another divisional game that has a lot on the line, especially for the Ravens here. What's your lean on this game?
Yeah, I'm leaning the Ravens -3.5. I also really like the over. I have yet to make a play, but I always end up making a play usually for Sunday night and Monday. So keep that in mind. But I'm still making a decision. And then for Monday Night Football, I'm leaning the Seahawks at +1. Yeah, at pick 'em.
Okay.
So,
love it.
This is, again, things can change, but as of now, those are my two plays.
Okay, excellent. No, I love that. The Seattle, they owe me a little bit. I've been betting them since Russell Wilson's been back, and that hasn't been too pretty. So hopefully they can pay that back to us in full circle, and we could be good, right? Clean slate, Jessica, clean slate. Guys, thanks so much for tuning in to the Countdown to Kickoff show here on the Fanduel channel. As JJ said, make sure you guys are subscribed to the YouTube channel, and you hit that bell button. You can see that to the right there. That's how you get your alerts and everything when you're subscribed to the channel of us going live. So make sure you do that. Make sure you hit the like button on the videos and get all the content for you guys to succeed in your fantasy matchups and betting, what have you. Make sure you're checking out the FanDuel Sportsbook. Get some prop action, even though the games are already locked. Guys, Jessica Gridiron, you can find her at Gridiron and Wine. You won't be disappointed. Make sure you go over there. She's riding the heater right now. She's going to help you guys bring it home here through the Sunday games and Monday night. Jessica, thanks so much for joining in.
Thank you for having me. It was great, and good luck, everybody.
Yes, good luck, guys. Ryan Williams, you can find me on Twitter at RyanAlexander_W. We'll catch you guys next time on the Countdown to Kickoff show here on FanDuel. Until then, get this money. We'll see you next time. Peace.